Mike Babcock didn't need a dramatic press conference to send a message to Connor McDavid. He only needed a few direct comments, and from what I'm hearing, those comments are already becoming one of the biggest talking points around the Edmonton Oilers this offseason. When a coach with Babcock's resume walks into a locker room that already has the best player in the world, everyone wants to know one thing: who's really setting the standard? The latest information I'm hearing is that Babcock made it clear from the very beginning that no one, not even Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, is above accountability. That's what makes this story so interesting. Here's how I read this situation. Babcock isn't trying to challenge McDavid because he doubts his talent. Quite the opposite. He believes the Oilers already have enough talent to win a Stanley Cup. What he appears to be questioning is whether the team can consistently play the disciplined, detail-oriented hockey that's required to finish the job. From what I've been told through the reporting that's emerged over the last day, Babcock's message wasn't aimed at embarrassing anyone. It was aimed at raising the standard for everyone, and that starts with the team's biggest stars. League sources and recent interviews indicate Babcock had conversations with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Zach Hyman before officially taking the job. That's an important detail because it tells me this wasn't a coach walking into the room and surprising everyone with a new philosophy. There were discussions beforehand about expectations, leadership, and what it would actually take to get Edmonton over the hump. That's where things become fascinating. For years, nobody has questioned Connor McDavid's skill. Nobody has questioned his work ethic either. He's widely regarded as one of the hardest working players in hockey, but talent alone hasn't delivered the Stanley Cup that Edmonton has been chasing. My take on this is that Babcock looked at the Oilers and saw a team that's incredibly close, but still missing something when the biggest moments arrive. That's why his comments landed the way they did. He essentially made it known that if players want him to help make them better, they also have to accept being coached hard. That's classic Mike Babcock. Whether people love his coaching style or criticize it, one thing has always been consistent throughout his career. He expects accountability from everyone in the room. And yes, that includes Connor McDavid. Now, before anyone twists this into a story about conflict, here's what I'm hearing. There's no credible indication that McDavid pushed back publicly or that there's already tension between the two. In fact, the reporting suggests those early conversations were constructive. The leadership group understood exactly what Babcock expected, and Babcock apparently liked what he heard enough to believe Edmonton was the right place for him. Still, the pressure couldn't be higher. Think about where this organization is right now. Connor McDavid is in the prime of his career. Leon Draisaitl remains one of the league's elite players. The Oilers have invested heavily in building a championship-caliber roster. Every offseason move is measured against one question: does it bring this team closer to lifting the Stanley Cup? People around the league believe Edmonton's championship window is open right now. That also means patience is running out. Every year without a championship adds another layer of pressure, not just on management, not just on the coaching staff, but on the franchise players who have carried this team for years. Here's where Babcock's comments become more significant than they might appear on the surface. This wasn't simply about conditioning or practice habits. It was about culture. It was about creating an environment where nobody gets a free pass simply because they're a superstar. My take is that Babcock understands something many successful championship coaches have understood before him. Leadership isn't just about wearing the captain's C. Leadership is about setting the daily standard for everyone else. If Connor McDavid embraces that challenge publicly and privately, it becomes much easier for every other player in that locker room to do the same. There's another angle to this that deserves attention. Mike Babcock knows people are watching him just as closely as they're watching Connor McDavid. After everything that's happened during the later stages of his coaching career, every move he makes will be analyzed. Every comment will be dissected. Every relationship inside that dressing room will become a storyline. Because of that, I don't believe these comments were accidental. I think they were intentional, not inflammatory, intentional. Babcock appears to be establishing expectations before training camp even begins. Instead of waiting until adversity hits during the season, he's laying out the standard now. That's something veteran coaches often do. They want players walking into camp already understanding what will be demanded of them. The latest information I'm hearing is that those expectations revolve around consistency, commitment, and accountability, not just from depth players, but from the entire leadership core. That brings us back to Connor McDavid. For years, he's carried enormous expectations. Every playoff exit sparks another round of questions about whether the Oilers are built built the right way, whether they have enough depth, enough defense, enough goaltending, or enough structure. Now, Babcock enters the picture with a reputation for demanding details every single day. Here's how I see it. This isn't about changing who Connor McDavid is as a player. It's about asking whether the best player in the world can become an even stronger leader within a championship system. And if Babcock succeeds in getting complete buy-in from McDavid and the rest of Edmonton's core, the conversation around the Oilers could look very different by the time the regular season begins, because here's the reality that people around the league keep coming back to. The Oilers aren't being judged by regular season success anymore. They're being judged by one thing. Can they finally win the Stanley Cup? That's why every comment from Mike Babcock carries extra weight right now. A coach with his resume doesn't arrive in Edmonton expecting to oversee a rebuilding project. He arrives believing this roster is capable of winning immediately. From what I've been told, that's exactly how he views this opportunity. He sees a team with elite talent, but he also sees a group that still has another level to reach. And that's where his message to the leadership group becomes so important. My take is that Babcock isn't trying to reinvent Connor McDavid's game. Nobody in hockey is going to tell the league's most dynamic player how to score points. What Babcock appears to be focused on is everything that happens between those highlight reel moments. The habits, the structure, the consistency. Those are the areas championship coaches obsess over. League sources indicate Babcock has always believed championships are built through daily habits long before they're won in June. If that's the mindset he's bringing into Edmonton, it explains why he addressed expectations immediately instead of waiting until training camp. And let's be honest, the timing couldn't be more significant. Every offseason seems to bring another conversation about McDavid's legacy. Every playoff disappointment creates another wave of debate across the hockey world. Fair or unfair, that's the reality when you're widely considered the best player on the planet. Here's how I read this situation. Babcock isn't adding pressure to McDavid. The pressure was already there. What he's doing is acknowledging it and challenging the entire organization to respond the right way. That includes Leon Draisaitl as well. For years, McDavid and Draisaitl have formed arguably the most dangerous offensive duo in hockey. They've produced incredible numbers, won individual awards, and carried the Oilers through countless games. But in the NHL, individual greatness is only part of the equation. Championship teams usually separate themselves through commitment from top to bottom. That's where Babcock believes Edmonton can improve. Another interesting part of this story involves Zach Hyman. Hyman has previously played under Babcock, so his perspective carries weight. He has described Babcock as demanding, prepared, and extremely detail-oriented. That tells me players who know Babcock's methods understand exactly what they're signing up for. Nothing comes easy. Every shift matters, every practice matters, every decision matters. From what I'm hearing, that's the culture Babcock wants to establish from day one. Now, will every player embrace that style? That's one of the biggest questions heading into the season. Some coaches succeed by giving players freedom. Others succeed by creating structure and accountability. Babcock has always leaned toward the second approach. Sometimes that style produces championship caliber teams. Sometimes it creates friction. At this point, though, there's no verified indication that friction exists between Babcock and Edmonton's leadership group. The public comments point toward a shared understanding that the standard has to rise if this team wants to reach its ultimate goal. That's an important distinction. It's easy for headlines to make it sound like there's already a showdown between coach and captain. The latest information I'm hearing doesn't support that interpretation. Instead, what it supports is a coach making expectations crystal clear before the season even begins. My take is that this could actually benefit Connor McDavid. Think about it. Elite athletes often respond best when they're challenged by people they respect. Babcock's coaching resume speaks for itself. He's won at the highest levels of hockey, and while his career has included controversy, his experience in building successful teams is undeniable. If McDavid buys into that message and everything we've heard so far suggests he's committed to doing whatever it takes to win, it could set the tone for the entire roster. Leadership has a ripple effect. When the captain embraces accountability, younger players notice, veterans notice, the coaching staff notices. That culture can spread quickly. Of course, none of this guarantees success. The Oilers still have questions to answer. Can they defend consistently in the playoffs? Will the roster provide enough depth over a long season? Can they stay healthy when it matters most? And perhaps the biggest question of all, can they handle the pressure that comes with being one of the league's most scrutinized teams? Those answers won't come from a press conference. They won't come from an interview. They'll come once the games begin. But I do think this latest message from Babcock gives us a glimpse into how he intends to run this team. He's not lowering expectations. He's raising them. He's making it clear that being talented isn't enough. Being one of the highest paid rosters in hockey isn't enough. Having Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl isn't enough. The expectation is a Stanley Cup, nothing less. And if that means asking the biggest stars to elevate their leadership, accept tougher coaching, and embrace an even higher standard, Babcock appears completely comfortable delivering that message. Here's what I'm watching moving forward. How do McDavid and Draisaitl respond once training camp opens? Do teammates echo Babcock's message about accountability? Does the coaching staff's philosophy show up in the way Edmonton plays from the opening weeks of the season? Because if the early signs match what we've been hearing this offseason, the Oilers won't just be trying to outscore opponents, they'll be trying to become the kind of disciplined, complete team that can survive 4 playoff rounds. And if that transformation starts with one blunt conversation between a new head coach and his leadership group, then this story may end up being remembered as much more than an offseason headline. It could become the first real indication of how Mike Babcock intends to reshape the Edmonton Oilers' pursuit of a championship.